Hey folks, it's Dr. Brenda, money coach, and the creator of the Gutsy Women Club, where women dare to dream and take bold actions to follow their heart's journey. So, it's September, still wearing masks. I just bought this at the farmer's market, okay? So, I'm at my rig, I'm gonna take it off because this is our theme today. It's about traveling in an RV in the age of COVID. So I filmed something a couple months ago, and since then I've been in a whole bunch more states. I've been in 19 states in 18 weeks. Pretty crazy, right? I started my journey May 27th, and it is now early October. I am in Texas. Started in Virginia. So I'm going to walk you through sort of my journey, tell you about my experiences trying to be safe on the road. Certainly, hey, I go into a public place, I always have a mask on. I don't care where I am and whether it's mandated or not. I've got to protect myself, and I want to protect other people too. So wear the damn mask, okay, folks? And so I'm going to tell you a bit about my experiences. I started in Virginia. These are all the states I've been to. So I started in Virginia. That is where I owned my house. That was where I lived for almost 19 years. And the governor there happens to be a medical doctor. So things were pretty shut down in Virginia at the end of May. I stayed at a campground. At that point, the only way you could stay in a campground was to spend at least 14 nights there, sort of your quarantine, right? Quarantine at a campground. So I did that, and that was out by the Blue Ridge Parkway, Shenandoah National Park. Nice area. I did notice that in the rural areas, some people at that point were congregating and not wearing masks. Generally, what I have found in most places is that the more rural it is, the less likely they are to have masks on, even when you enter a grocery store sometimes. So I'm going to walk you through my travels. So from Virginia, I went to Tennessee, and kind of a mixed bag. Not a whole lot of mask wearing. This would have been in early to mid-June, and so that was I didn't feel all that comfortable in Tennessee. I think I went into Illinois. Pretty sure that's the route. So I've been to a lot of places. So I went into Illinois, which had a statewide mask policy. A+. I mean, everybody, even I went into some of the rural areas, and they had masks on there, and that would have been also in June. And a lot of things were shut down, so the economy looked pretty dismal, but people were very good about the mask wearing, and probably one of the better states. Went up to Wisconsin to visit family. And they've got a political mess up there. They've got a Democratic governor, but a Republican legislature, a very conservative right-wing Supreme Court now. And so the governor, has a difficult time mandating masks because the Republican fight back. And consequently, they've left it up to each county. So in Madison, Dane County, pretty good experience. Also Door County, which is very tourist-oriented. Okay, a little bit of a mixed bag, but generally okay. Other parts, I stayed in the Wausau area where my family lives. Bad, really, really bad. In fact, the worst restaurant experience I had, this is in July, was at a restaurant in Wausau, Wisconsin. Every seat was filled. I mean, I went there early, so I left before it got crowded. They had people waiting for tables, and they were waiting inside. There was no masks, no plexiglass, nothing. And so it was really, really bad. Went into Indiana, mostly, I gotta say my impression of Indiana is boy, a lot of unhappy people. I don't know. I mean, it just had the area where I was in. Um, the store clerks, people seemed really unhappy there. The mask wearing, a mixed bag. Went into Ohio. Ohio, again, not very good. In fact, I'm pretty sure this is where I went into a grocery store and maybe a third of the people didn't have masks on. So now we're getting into July and August. I was not impressed with Ohio. Poor mask policy. And then I went into Pennsylvania, New York, and Vermont, and those were mostly pass-through states. Didn't spend much time. New York tended to be the strictest. Even to the rest stops, people did wear masks in New York State. Vermont, I spent 19 days there, and very, very good, very good in Vermont. New Hampshire, just went for a bike ride. They seemed pretty good. So the Northeast certainly did generally a pretty good job of wearing masks and trying to protect me and everybody else from COVID. And then I missed Kentucky. Okay, so I did spend some time in Kentucky, Louisville area. Very good, very strict, and you could tell, crossing the border between Kentucky and Indiana. I mean, Indiana, no masks. Kentucky, most had masks. So that was a big difference. Came back down to Virginia, which again, now I was into August, and still they did a good job. Spent most of the time at the state parks, but a good job with mask wearing for the most part. This was where we saw a group of teenagers in an ice cream shop without masks. So some of the things that I see are very specific to a business. A business decides that they're not going to put a mask required sign up, and pretty soon everybody knows, we don't have to wear a mask there. I will say I ended up in several Ace Hardware stores across the country, and it didn't matter which state I was in, I knew everybody would have a mask in an Ace Hardware store. So kudos to Ace. They made it a requirement very early on, protect their staff, protect their customers. So way to go, Ace. I mean, there are some places that, did that very early on. Went into North Carolina and South Carolina, spent more time in South Carolina. Not a lot of adherence, but it was better than I thought. This would have again probably been in August, so most states had become aware of just how awful the COVID, how fast it could spread. Then I'm going to go down to Georgia, pass through. Didn't really get a very good impression of mask wearing. Florida, okay? See all these states here? 19 states. Which one do you think is the absolute worst? You got it. Florida. Florida was bad. So I'm there most of September. I will say it depended, and I started at Silver Spring State Park, and that's more in the central part of the state. Even the staff people were not wearing masks. So I went on a glass bottom boat ride. I stood in line. People were spread out, 6 feet apart. I was the only one with a mask on. Even, the driver of the boat, the guy taking the tickets. I went kayaking. The young people behind the desk were all congregating without masks. I went into a restaurant and, saw people, a group of 8 women with, it was happy hour time. I was shocked. I was really shocked by how bad Florida was. I did, had a pretty good experience at an RV park in Tallahassee. RV parks are a bit of a mixed bag. I've had some where they don't wear masks. The Tallahassee one went with contactless check-in. More RV parks are doing that. So even within the states, the RV parks are a mixed bag. I had a pretty good experience on the northeast Florida in St. Augustine. More of a tourist town, more masks. And then I went to the western part of the state. And the county, I had worked with, had to do some stuff in Okaloosa County. County office is really good, but outside of that, pretty poor. Very, very little mask wearing. And I think the day I left, the governor had decided that everything could open 100% and restaurants at 100%. So numbers are absolutely going to rise. We all know that. So I'm kind of glad I left Florida when I did. I made a quick journey, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. Now I'm in Texas. I did spend a night at a park in Louisiana, but I didn't really stop. Also, if you're RVing, you're along the freeway generally. For the most part, all of the chain gas stations have a mask mandate. So you go in and generally people are wearing their masks and in those places. So I didn't feel any threat from that. Grocery stores tend to be better too, but yeah, some states were just bad. Texas, quite honestly, so I've only been here for 3 days, but I just went to my very first farmer's market, and that's where I got this really cool, face mask. First farmer's market that I had been to, and I was like, okay, I wonder how this is going to go. Everybody had a mask on. Absolutely everybody had a mask on. Went into a pizza place, masks. So hopefully, I know Texas's numbers were outrageously high at the beginning, and I'm hoping that they have brought those down, and the measures that they have taken have, saved some lives. And that's really what we're talking about. Wearing a mask can save your life. That's how basic it is. So if you are fearful of, RVing because of COVID, so I'm just, this is my nice tent, but in a campground, you're probably in the safest place you can be. So I'm able to hang out, in my RV. I'm able to hang out in my tent. I say hello to the neighbors. And there's, nature trails, you're outdoors. So I wouldn't, take precautions. Definitely take precautions, especially if you're going to be in Florida. It's going to be very iffy. It may be dependent on exactly where you're located in Florida, but you take care, because there's so much that is determined by leadership within each state. It's real basic human nature. If you do not require masks, people will not wear masks. So when you stop at a store, when you stop any place, get your mask out, even if it's for a few minutes. So anyway, that's my update on traveling during COVID. And again, please subscribe if you want to follow along. And I'll be actually in Texas now for most of the winter, so hoping that Texas keeps its game up. And again, I'm going to follow along, subscribe, and check out my Gutsy Women Club, gutsywomen.club. So long for today. Bye-bye.